Squadrons of United States Navy ships have been brought to the shores of Venezuela. There are 15,000 military personnel on board. Among the ships are an aircraft carrier with its entire group, a destroyer, and other warships. The United States has launched Operation Southern Spear targeting regional drug cartels. At the center, of course, is Venezuela and its president, Maduro. Why is Venezuela at the center? Because a lot goes through it. In general, the United States. The CIA says that Maduro is the head of the biggest cartel and that all of Venezuela is simply run by a drug cartel. So in September and October, regarding ships, boats, and military infrastructure facilities, strikes were carried out and Venezuela began a large-scale mobilization. The White House authorized the CIA to conduct covert, that is, secret operations to destabilize Maduro's regime. And the United States Attorney General announced a reward for information that would help catch, find, and arrest the president of the sovereign state called Venezuela. Trump did not rule out any options. Trump generally doesn't like to say, I won't do this, I won't do that. He says everything is possible. But knowing him, a ground invasion is unlikely, very unlikely. Although with Trump, you never know. The most likely scenarios are as follows. The United States bombs bases, air defense facilities, energy infrastructure, and maybe some government institutions. United States Special Forces carry out operations against drug cartels. Negotiations with Venezuela's government. Well, directly with Maduro's people and discreetly with the army, possibly some government factions behind the scenes, about removing Maduro, amnesty for political prisoners, expelling the cartels. This will be one of the first, if not the very first, conditions from the country, from Venezuela. United States access to oil resources, and in effect switching Venezuela's energy sector from, let's say, Russia-China to the United States. There may also be, so to speak, talks about holding elections in the country in the near future. This is something that, of course, the Klan Party, maybe even the Mafia, Maduro, plus China, Russia, and the cartels will oppose. Since an invasion, well, as I already mentioned, is unlikely, then why? Because you can get stuck in the country, just like in Vietnam and Iraq, so without confidence in a very quick end to the conflict, Trump won't get involved. De-escalation is possible through negotiations, using, let's say, mediators. Qatar has offered itself as a mediator, usually Turkey offers itself as well, and providing security guarantees to the Venezuelan military leadership. In his usual manner, Trump said that he might meet just to talk with Maduro. Maybe, Trump said, something might come out of it, because they want negotiations. For him, it's always about others, not himself. They want, like Putin wants negotiations, Ukraine wants negotiations, Kamaz wants negotiations, now Maduro, they, I'm sure, want negotiations. It's just that nobody usually talks about it, but Trump always does. It's neither good nor bad, it's just his manner. Maybe Trump sees a scenario where Maduro stays in power but orients the country toward the United States and stops being a hub for drugs. And Trump might have offers for Maduro, like giving him the opportunity to go somewhere and live out the rest of his life in comfort in exchange for control over the country's oil reserves. The United States doesn't need income from oil. But Venezuela, needs control. And also to cut Venezuela off from China and Russia, which, so to speak, is very important for the global strategy of our government today, the Trump administration, Basically, the American armada is there so that none of the allies, Maduro, can do anything. Again, the same Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, they haven't sent anything there. Neither military personnel nor modern weapons. According to unofficial sources, information came from Maduro's headquarters that his inner circle is ready to give United States companies exclusive access to existing and new oil and gold mines. That kind of thing exists there too. So, inviting American investors to projects instead of, say, China and so on. Limiting future cooperation with Iran, China, and Russia. Current actions continue, but they are no longer invited. Changing the export flows of energy resources in favor of the United States, stopping the supply of energy resources to Cuba. And then, more vaguely, so to speak, there's some talk about carrying out political reforms there and organizing elections under the supervision of international organizations. However, this causes the strongest resistance within Maduro's inner circle. Do they not care who buys their oil? The main thing is that they're given the opportunity to continue, let's say, ruling the country. Experts estimate there's a 20% chance of a political settlement. So they're giving a 20% probability to a political settlement. I'm not sure. 20% is still high, and there's still an 80% chance nothing will work out politically. They learn through negotiations. That's how it is. As they explain, the more military pressure is put on Venezuela, the higher the likelihood that this crisis will be resolved without war and without any major conflict. So the more you scare them, the faster they'll agree to something. So to solve the problem, you'll have to blow things up, sink, burn, and set off explosions. Sabotage within the country. Therefore, it seems that the United States, which can't help but fight drug trafficking, will shoot, blow up, burn, and blow up cartel leaders. And after this operation is over, they'll move on to Colombia and Mexico, where, by the way, in Mexico, there are riots and unrest among the youth against, well, let's say the communist president who's sold out to the drug cartels. So, Claudia Sheinberg Pardo, Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo, sorry, the lady herself doesn't transport drugs like Maduro does, but she does something much worse. She stifles the initiative of innovators in her country with taxes and decrees, restricts business development, and that means she is driving the country into hunger, poverty, and recession. The ruling Sheinbaum bloc includes the Communist Party and the Lev-Limansk movement itself. So, like Fidel Castro or Che Guevara, maybe she sees herself as Che Guevara. Will she get surgery, turn herself into a man, put on a cap, and go fight? After Venezuela, we still have much to do. Ladies and gentlemen, but first we need to clean up our own stables. And only then go clean up someone else's, because our people want us to take care of the stables here first. First, because A, it stinks, B, it makes life difficult, and C, it stinks, it kills hope. People can't wait for this to just happen someday. Let's tighten our belts now so our children will have communism, that's the Soviet version. Or work hard now and the Pharaoh rewards us in the next life, that's the ancient Egyptian version. Well, people are tired of this already. They want it not in the next life, not for their children, but right now. I can't say that life in America is bad. I just want to say that people hope things would get even better, even faster. And I suspect better. It will noticeably start to get better by the spring of 2026, but we'll talk about this again so that I'm not just making empty claims, but actually explaining. Goodbye, see you next time. Subtitles by Dima Torzak.